What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. And on this video, I'll be taking you through the ultimate guide or the chip guide to Double Game Week 24. So because it's the first double game week of the season, the chips are being activated left, right, and center for this upcoming game week. And therefore, a big part of this ultimate guide will be the chip strategy discussion. So I've kind of merged the two videos into one jam-packed double game week 24 video. So hopefully going to be super informative. Now don't worry, the usual topics like the stats review, projected goals, projected clean sheets will be covered. And those are going to be quite useful to decide your actual double game week 24 talking points. For example, should you go for the Liverpool attack or the Liverpool defense? And the biggest talking point is going to be all about the assistant manager chip. So if you guys are on the chip or not on the chip, hopefully the talking points I go over are going to be quite useful. So that's what you guys are interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. Now to start off with the team stats review, now I'm going to be going over this quite quickly. I'll obviously be covering the main talking points, but so much to go over, I don't want to bore you guys with the stats. So let's start off with the attacking numbers, and these are XG non-penalty per 90 minutes on the left hand side over the entire season, on the right hand side over the last 6 games to get those informed numbers. So over the entire season, you guys can see Liverpool at the top there definitely have been the best attack, 2.45, before a little bit of a drop off between Man City, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Arsenal, and finally Spurs. Now on the right hand side, we've seen an uptick from those Liverpool attackers as well as the Man City attackers, and now we see the introduction of Newcastle around 2 XG per game. Also nice to see Brentford introduced here. I'm looking at bringing in Mbeumo this week, so I want to see those good XG numbers. And finally, a shout out to Bournemouth on the left and the right hand side. They're having a great FPL season, defensively and from an attacking point of view. So if you guys are targeting a Semenyo or even someone like a Kluivert, the stats are backing them up. I'll probably bring one of them in next week after the Liverpool game. But most of these teams are quite kind of easy to predict. Most of them are going to be the top 6. So let's move on to those worst attacks. So unfortunately, these attacks you guys should probably avoid. On the left hand side, Ipswich, Everton, Southampton, Leicester, Wolves, and finally Forest. Just a reminder though, Everton do have a new manager in David Moyes now. On the right hand side, hasn't had the exact kind of instant impact, although that was over the last 6 games. So if you guys are looking to target an Everton attacker, you probably know this, but the stats aren't looking that great. Interestingly enough, Spurs also struggling at the moment, so if you do have a Brentford defender, someone like a Flecken, could be a clean sheet chance there at the moment. If you do own the double up in the Liverpool defense though, you can feel a little bit hard done by. Ipswich unfortunately at the moment definitely the worst attack, and the XG numbers weren't that great against that Liverpool team. But I guess the biggest takeaway here is Everton don't expect miracles. I know David Moyes is a pretty good manager, but I guess their attackers are pretty cheap, especially the forwards. If you are looking at Chris Wood, but he is an elite finisher, the Nottingham Forest attacking numbers haven't been great, but that hasn't hurt him from scoring a massive amount of FPL points. The one side that you guys also want to maybe look at is Leicester. They haven't been a great attack over the entire season, so some Everton defensive coverage could be quite good. But these are the attacking numbers. You guys can pause them at any time if you want to go more in depth. Let's now move on to the defensive ones. Now if you guys are going to target the double up in that Liverpool defense, they've got some good stats over the entire season and over the last 6 games. Now Arsenal also bringing up some good numbers. Hopefully their clean sheets do flow through. They have a big game this week though against Man City. Can't exactly say I see a clean sheet there. Fulham and also a really strong team like Bournemouth having a great season, and the Bournemouth defense recently has been pretty good, which might worry you as a Salah triple captainer. So I guess that's the biggest takeaway. The Liverpool defense is rock solid, but Bournemouth are putting up some good numbers. Probably still going to captain Salah though. Now the worst defenses to target from an XG conceded point of view, it's going to be those newly promoted squads on the left and the right hand side. Although recently those Brentford numbers haven't been great. Now another big talking point here, as you guys can see, the 6th worst kind of defense recently is going to be Everton. And I can't exactly see David Moyes showing that defense up too much. Now I guess the saving grace is going to be that Leicester game against a newly promoted squad. There could be a clean sheet, but against Liverpool, don't exactly know if there's going to be one. So once again, if you guys are worried from a Liverpool point of view about Mo Salah, the stats might think otherwise. Also want to highlight that Spurs defense. I'm looking at bringing in Mbeumo over the entire season at 1.71, hoping for some returns if I do go for him. Is Nicholas Jackson going to come back to bite me with that West Ham game? I think I'm pretty safe there with those Gakpo points. So that's going to wrap it up for the team stats. As mentioned, you guys can pause this, go back if you want to, but now let's move on to the projected clean sheets. So for the projected clean sheets and the projected goals, I'll split this up into two departments. The first one is going to be besides Everton plus Liverpool. So let's go over those resulting kind of 8 fixtures. As always, color coded, these are going to be the projected clean sheet odds. And you guys can see the chances of this week aren't looking too great. So the top team at the moment, Chelsea on 35%, we have United 29%, they're going to be the 4th best. Ipswich and Newcastle come before them. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we do have Spurs at 11%, I mentioned targeting and Mbumo, let's hope it comes in good. And once again, West Ham is a pretty good fixture for Chelsea. What is worrying me though is that 12% I might be selling Anthony Gordon this week. Is it actually worth the transfer? Brentford and Newcastle have similar projections. Some boring games this week, Nottingham Forest Brighton might not have a lot of goals in it, whereas Brentford Spurs looks like it's going to be quite lively. But these numbers super useful for those benching dilemmas if you guys do have them this week. Let's move on to the projected goals though. So the projected goals this week, the clean sheets might not have been there, but we do have some exciting fixtures, namely Chelsea, Brentford as well as Newcastle. So unfortunately this week only 3 teams over that 2.0 XG per game mark. And then you have those boring fixtures such as mentioned Nottingham Forest vs Brighton. So this week might not be that high scoring, but the double game week does spice it up. Arsenal Man City expecting goals from both teams there. So once again, as mentioned, that Gordon to Mbumo move might not be that likely now, at least according to the projected goals 2.1 versus 2. I would probably say that Mbumo is a better FPL asset, so probably has a higher goal share. The one thing I want to talk about though is João Pedro out for Visa worth the -4? You guys might be in the same boat looking at that kind of upgrade. I have the funds, and with these Brighton projections, I just feel like Brentford might be the better team. Might have to do some more number crunching for that one, but as you guys can see on screen, you can pause this if you want to, but now let's move on to the double game week. But don't worry, I promise it gets a bit more exciting. So let's first talk about the clean sheet projections for Liverpool plus Everton. As you guys can see in the first game, pretty healthy projections. Liverpool with less though at 27% against Bournemouth. That just shows that kind of Bournemouth current form, they're in great form at the moment. And obviously Everton do play Leicester. Now in the second game, they do play each other, and this is where the Liverpool odds kind of shine, 42%, the highest of the entire game week. And that's going to take them to a total projection of 69% clean sheet odds in game week 24. Everton are going to come in less at 48%, but as you guys will note in the previous talking point, that's the second highest. So definitely Liverpool and Everton shining because of the double game week. So what does this mean? It means that you guys should at least have some coverage. I do believe there's some good chances of clean sheets. I wouldn't go ripping your team up for those Everton assets though, as that Liverpool game is going to be quite tough to keep a clean sheet in. Let's quickly jump to the next kind of projected goals, and this is where you guys are going to see that Everton still have some good projections, mainly because of that Leicester game at 1.7. Now interestingly enough, Liverpool do have the same projection for Bournemouth plus Everton at 2.15, and that takes them to a total of 4.3 goals in double game week 24. Now when you guys do see these odds, you might have been nervous about kind of triple captaining Mo Salah. This does make me super jealous. So if you guys were nervous about the game week with Mo Salah's triple captain, they still projected to put up a few goals. As mentioned though, Everton's numbers also looking pretty good, so if you guys do want to go for one of their attackers, probably the first time you're going to see Everton on 2.58 goals projected in a game week. Now what does make this quite tough is should you guys go for the attack versus the defense, but with that high 69 projected clean sheet odd, I would say that the Liverpool defense is more safe. Yes, their attack might have kind of a high ceiling, Agakpo, Luis Diaz could always be involved in the goals, but because of that rotation, I think the Liverpool defense with Van Dijk or Alisson, even Konate comes in a good value. With the Everton attack versus defense, it's a lot harder because they come in so cheap. I would definitely be taking that 2.58 goals projected for game week 24 to the bank though. I don't think that you guys should destroy your teams to get those Everton assets in because the fixtures afterwards aren't that great, but please try and secure that Liverpool triple up as soon as possible. These projections will update though as the days go by, but don't worry, in the deadline stream we always go over the most up-to-date numbers, so hopefully I'll see you guys there. Now the next talking point, let's finally get into this chip strategy, the main topic of the video, and I'm going to first discuss my chip strategy. So literally in the deadline streams on the Discord and my Twitter DMs, everyone's asking me what is my chip strategy at the moment, and I can honestly tell you guys that I don't have one. I personally think that you can't have a chip strategy absolutely locked in at the current moment. There's just too many unknowns in the doubles and the blanks. So if someone's told you that their chip strategy is locked in, they either have used all their chips in the first half of the season, or second of all, they've made a chip strategy on unknowns. So not super authentic there if they have decided that, as there's so much that can change. The only thing that's kind of locked in at the moment is going to be blank game week 29. So I spoke about this a few weeks ago, but because of the EFL Cup final, there's going to be a blank game week, and that'll be for 2 teams out of the ones that you see on screen. So we have had the first legs, we do have the second legs coming up before game week 25, and at the moment Newcastle lead Arsenal and Spurs lead Liverpool. Based on the projections though, Liverpool are looking to go through as well as Newcastle, so therefore Villa and Crystal Palace also blank in those fixtures. So I do understand if you guys maybe have your wildcard plan around blank game week 29, or if you're going to use the free hit in this respective game week. But what we don't know is if Arsenal are going to come back or if Liverpool will come back, and that might change your plan entirely. So at the current moment, yes, you guys can just relax, don't worry. I will give you guys my chip strategy video when the time is right. There's just too many unknowns and therefore a little bit of a useless video to create. But the chip activations might be taking place already for you in game week 24. And I've always said this, if you guys have your triple captain this week, I would definitely use it on Mo Salah. I unfortunately have used it on Erling Haaland a few weeks ago, and he got a massive 6-pointer for me. So literally with Mo Salah not even scoring or assisting, he might get 6 points. So I think you guys are on a dub anyways. That's just my personal opinion though. If you guys don't want to use it, want to use it late in the season, that's 100% fine. Let's go talk about the assistant manager chip though. So the last talking point, because literally captaincy this week is simply useless. Yes, if you guys want to go against Mo Salah, you can, but you're probably still going to go Liverpool. And therefore you're banking on Liverpool doing well, but Mo Salah not. I personally will be captaining Mo Salah as long as he's injury free. And let's see how this triple captainers do. I think it's probably going to be a little bit of a haul. But if you guys have already used the triple captain or don't want to use this week, you could use the assistant manager chip. And that's probably going to be on either Arne Slot or David Moyes. So to give you guys some background, if you have been living under a rock, the assistant manager chip was introduced midway through the season, and it allows you to buy a manager for a 3-week period. Now amongst those 3 weeks, you guys can use your transfers. You can transfer your manager out for another manager, but it still has to be within the 3 weeks. So on the left hand side, you guys can see the double game week obviously offers you an extra fixture, and that's going to be Bournemouth away for Liverpool and Leicester at home for Everton. The fixtures after that also look pretty good. Wolves, Man City for Arne Slot. So what you guys might do is transfer him out for that last game week, whereas David Moyes is Crystal Palace and United. So the tough part about the assistant manager is that it does count as a player from the respective team. So if you guys have a triple up on Liverpool, you'll have to take one out for Arne Slot. So if you like myself, I own Gakpo, Trent plus Salah, so I have to take one of them out, as you guys can only own 3 players from a team. So Arne Slot might be the safe option, but David Moyes might be the power play, and that's because there's an extra bonus for positional wins and draws. So if your manager does beat or draw against the team that's 5 or more places above them, they get some extra bonus points, and that's where the power of the assistant manager really comes in. And that's where the deal breaker for me does happen with David Moyes. As you guys will notice, Crystal Palace and United, as well as Leicester, are all within that range, and therefore there's no positional review except for the Liverpool game. So I do think if David Moyes maybe got the bonus for Crystal Palace and United, that would be a locked-in play. Even just one of those teams might have swayed me to use the chip this week. But because out of the 4 fixtures, there's only one that he might get the bonus, don't necessarily know if it's going to be worth taking it this week. Now yes, what you guys might do is want to take him out maybe after the double game week, go for that assistant manager bonus. But I think I might wait for late in the season when some teams are on the beach and there's more to play for. With Arne Slot, as mentioned, I already have the triple ups. I'm not going to take out Gakpo, Trent or Salah for the manager. So I've kind of locked myself into not going for him. Now you guys can also just go for a single game week manager, that's 100% fine, but the double game week really makes it worth it. So at the moment I'm planning to postpone this to a later double game week, whichever double I don't bench boost on. But just because I'm doing it doesn't mean that you guys have to do it. I've given you the talking points and the reason I'm not activating it, but you guys might convince me to use it otherwise. So in the comments down below, give me the reasons why you're using it if you are using it, and also give me an indication of what chip you're using in Double Game Week 24. This will be a safe space next week for all of us that won't be on the chip. I'm just hoping for not too big of a red arrow. But this is going to be the final talking point. As mentioned, Camc is a little bit useless. It's basically Mo Salah, or if you guys want to go super differential. You guys can also let me know if you are captaining or doing that. Don't think there's going to be many of you though. There will be a team selection dropping on Thursday, so make sure that you have notifications on so you guys don't miss that one. And there will be a deadline stream 1 hour before the deadline. We will be going over those updated projected goals plus predicted clean sheets. Any other talking points, you guys can ask them in the comments down below or my Discord server, slightly more active, link in the description. This is basically a wrap of the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please don't like if you didn't subscribe if you have subscribed yet. Tons of content still to come, so make sure the notifications are turned on. But for the time being, I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.